Hey everyone, welcome back with Beano Mac.
Man, you got to be crazy to play this. I guess that's why it's called the Crashinator Challenge. Use your vehicle as a weapon to destroy the on-track targets and win Wumpa coins. I don't know. If you ask me, it ain't worth it. My ride's just too sweet.
And hey, we're gonna continue our playthrough of Crash Tag Team Racing here. And as our announcer there, Stu, kindly explained to us here, pretty much all we have to do is just within a time limit. We don't have to finish the lap, we just have, a time limit on it. Think GTA 3, the fuzzball mission where you have to pick up all the prostitutes, except instead of, picking up all the prostitutes and delivering them somewhere, in this variation of the game, you just have to crash into as many objects, you need to get the gold medal, or gold trophy that is, in this game mode. And they're usually pretty generous with the time and how many you need to hit and whatnot, and you can usually finish the lap within the allotted time limit as well. But yeah, it's a pretty it starts out pretty easy as usual, but I think in the later levels, the Uranus ones especially, jeez, I flew over those guys, it kind of gets a little bit of annoying with moving targets, but we'll deal with that when we get there. One thing I do want to say on this channel though is I want to say I appreciate everyone who watches me and comments on all my videos. I love you guys. Talking to you guys in the comments is just, it's a very nice experience, especially talking about games I don't usually get to talk about with other people. It's awesome, especially with my my Aki titles. One thing, and it kind of goes without saying, and I shouldn't even really say it to be honest, but just have respect for one another. If I or someone else in the comments, you're having a chat with, maybe if they get a little factoid wrong or something minor wrong, that doesn't give anybody the right to be insulted. And I'm just kind of throwing that out for the record because I've seen very, 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 very few comments on my channel, in which I or someone in my comments has unfortunately been insulted over the most minor things. And I get at that point, I mean, people know how to be adults and stuff like that, so it's the people that are just trying to start stuff. But I just figured I'd say that, throw that out there, just treat people with respect. I have no issues with correcting any sort of misinformation or criticism of any kind. Just don't resort to name calling is all I'm asking. But with that little thing out of the way, let's get back to the video here. And for today's video, since it's the last one, I kind of wanted to just share some factoids on the Crash Bandicoot Tag Team Wiki that I thought were pretty interesting. Just take with a grain of salt, though, that once again, this is the Wiki, the fan Wiki. So, not everything might be entirely factual. So, I believe this stuff to be mostly true, and I'll try and call out things that I may think are probably incorrect or something like that, or aren't given much information. But if I do call something out like that, I want somebody 100% to send a link, say, hey, no, that's not the case, this is true, or yada yada, whatever the case is. But let's get into it. So first off, there are some interesting regional differences. Like I said, there is a cheat code in this game that allows you to play as a Japanese version of Crash that they changed for this game. Specifically in the Japanese version, for whatever reason, he's chunkier, more cartoony, that whole deal. I don't know why they did it, but that's not actually the only change they have in the Japanese version. I also mentioned the fact that they actually reanimated all the dioramas and the gags and stuff like that to include this special Japanese Crash. They remodeled some of the outfits as well to be this Japanese Crash outfit, which is just so interesting. They went above and beyond to change this. But what's also interesting is I believe this is actually the last Crash game in Japan that was released for a long time. I believe it was the Insane Trilogy until they got any more console versions of the Crash games, according to this wiki, which is very interesting. I don't know, I guess the Japanese, they got sick of Crash much sooner than the US and European counterparts. But there's also a few things that were actually removed from the Japanese version. So some of the more lowbrow jokes, I guess, so like any of the farting and stuff like that, that was taken out. I guess that was too lowbrow for the poor, you know, the Japanese audience. They also ended up removing any like thing in reference with like, you know, Crash attacking the chickens or anything like that, I believe, during his idle animations. And they actually replaced those with, I'm a little jealous of this, the classic Crash Bandicoot dance, you know, where he's, you know, they always does, you know the dance. I don't really gotta, you know, I explain it and whatnot. But, other than that, and, you know, some, like, minor, frame rate differences, that's about all there is, as far as, regional differences. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, you know, that's, hopefully you found that interesting. Also, I'm just going to go down the trivia list and kind of comment on what I think on some of these. So, first off, this is the first game in the series to feature skin as a concept, and yeah, that's technically true. I think the skins were done. It's tough to say. I mean, like in Crash Nitro fueled the variety of the skins and how much there were, and how every character had, you know, at least different color palette swaps and one unique outfit. I think they did it better overall. I think as far as this game goes, I do believe that the uniqueness of everything, how there are no color palette swaps and Crash has so many outfits, it's tough to say which one I really like better, but some of these skins in this game actually ended up returning in Nitro Fueled. I know for a fact Princess Coco came back. They had the Engine Ballerina outfit came back. I believe there was a few outfits from this game that returned for Crash. I think Ninja Cortex is one of them. So yeah, there was. I do love the references from this game and the returning outfits and cars from this game that come back and you know, Nitro Fueled. That's a big part of why I love that game as well. The sounds the coins make when picked up is recycled from The Simpsons Hit and Run. I do not know this for 100% certain because I have not played Hit and Run, but yes, I definitely believe that's the case. Just simply down to the fact of this is built off the same engine as Hit and Run, so there's another little factoid for you. The game was also going to be like The Simpsons Hit and Run, another game by Radical Entertainment with a bunch of free roam levels and more activities. I don't really know what they're trying to say with that. I mean, yes, this is a free roaming game with lots of activities and stuff, so I don't know what that's even trying to say here. Apparently, Crash Tag Team Racing was chosen as the best 2006 video game in the Nickelodeon magazine, and Crash was chosen as the best character, winning a total of 2 Golden Thumb Awards. I wasn't able to get my hands on this magazine. I tried to look it up. According to Google AI, and I couldn't find any information on it, probably because most people don't really care about Nickelodeon magazine nowadays, but according to it, 2006, SpongeBob Lost in Time was actually the 2006 winner. So I don't know, maybe I wouldn't be surprised if Google AI was wrong. Maybe they're thinking of another year. I've never even heard of SpongeBob Lost in Time. It also sounds weird to me because this is a 2005 game, so why would it be best of 2006? So I don't know. It's kind of like, this is kind of up in the air for me. But I've tried to fact check it, and I just couldn't find anything on the internet about it. I'm sure there's probably a magazine from like whatever issue that was somewhere, I'm sure, on the internet. Probably the Internet Archive that'll tell us. So if you know this for a fact, you know, once again, let us know down in the comments below.
I got a need for speed now, fool.
Another one is this is the first game in Crash Bandicoot series to be rated higher than E in the ESRB scale and higher than PEGI 3 in the PEGI scale. Not sure what that scale is, but it's interesting because Cortex still refers to this game as being E-rated in one of his voice clips. I believe that is true. In each track of the game, except in the PlayStation Portable version, the music changes after 2/3 of the race, so essentially the last lap. Each track has a final lap for racing in first and second place, 3rd to 5th place, and 6th to 8th place. So essentially different music plays in the last lap according to which position you are in the race, which I honestly have never noticed. So I can't say for sure how true that is. I know I'm not really debunking or approving any of these facts too much, but you know, if you want to try these out for yourself, maybe I'll even make a video on it and see, you know, how true these are as well sometime later down the line if you guys want to see that. In Crash of the Titans, Tiny Tiger breaks the 4th wall by complaining that he wasn't invited to the last game, referring to Tag Team Racing, though Boom Bang was released in between Tag Team Racing and Crash of the Titans, where Tiny does feature in. So yeah, obviously that was a clear reference to Tag Team Racing, and you know, I don't blame Tiny. I mean, I've complained like 40 times every single video. Tiny wasn't in there, Koala Kong, no Pinstripe, you know, no Enburio, no Tana, which, I mean, she wasn't really in much games after the first one anyway. But, I mean, there was just a lot of major characters missing. Dingo Dial. That's probably one of the most popular ones that I keep forgetting to mention first every time. But, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of characters that were just missing from this game that definitely should have been in it. In one cutscene, Von Clutch breaks the 4th wall by telling the Bandicoots that he has all their games. Yeah, I mean, that's not really much of a trivia. I mean, we've seen that earlier. From here on out, until Crash Team Night Racing Nitro Fueled, Crash talks through gibberish noises, courtesy of Jess Harnell, who was also Lolo in Wrath of Cortex and Spyro in Spyro the Hero's Tale. Interesting. I could have swore he had more. I thought that he had like grunts and weird stuff like that in Wrath of Cortex, but it's been a while since I played that game. Remixes of Crash to Insanity's theme can be heard at certain times in the game. Around the time the music in Happily Ever Faster or Deep Sea Driving end, during Toontown, Queer Clobber minigame, ending cutscene I Hate Chicken, and the credits. The Tragic Kingdom Battle Arena plays the Rooftop Rampage theme from Twinsanity as well. This would be the last console game Crash would be released in until the release of the Insane Trilogy in Japan. I already went over that one though. I also went over that one. When Willie gives himself away, he's saying nice to Nina, but when he tries to convince everyone that he's the culprit, he's standing in front of them. In the same scene, Coco is nowhere to be found. So that's more of like a little blooper or whatever. There's always mistakes that happen in cutscenes or movies or something like that. That's just kind of a common thing. You know, you could find videos of that stuff all over the internet. It's very interesting. It's just stuff that, like, as the viewer, when you're invested, you're just not likely to notice those sort of things. Chick Gizzard Lips and Stu are parodies of Howard Cosell and George Foreman, respectively. George Foreman? They are sports commentators with the same kind of voices and speech patterns. I thought George Foreman was the guy who had the George Foreman grill and he was a boxer. I don't know, I'm not a sports fan, essentially, so... Many of the game's vehicles were used in Crash Bandicoot Nitro Kart 3D and Crash Bandicoot Nitro Kart 2. In addition, Crash's Crikey greatly resembles the Jeep from Wrath of Cortex. I think Nitro Kart 3D and Nitro Kart 2, I think those are mobile exclusives, and that had like Yeah Panda in them and stuff like that. So that's a bit of an interesting thing. Clearly the people who developed this game did have a love for this game. To a degree, you know, as far as like the vehicles, the characters, story settings, and stuff like that. I've already said this one. Aku Aku makes a cameo in the Tiki Turbo. When you pass through the section, the sound that plays in the first few games when Aku Aku mask is collected can be heard. However, he was intended to have more than just a cameo in the game, as he would have appeared in the pause menu and at the end of a race. Oh, I didn't know that last part. In this game, the spelling of engine has changed. Oh, well. That's not important. One of the things that Coco may say if damaged during a race is, "Aw, dairy berries." Yes, I do remember that. And this is obviously a reference to Debbie Derryberry, who has done Coco's voice work ever since Wrath of Cortex. Yeah, that's also a fun fact. She is the voice of Jimmy Neutron as well, which is pretty cool. That's why you can probably hear a little bit of Jimmy if you pay attention to Coco's voice. clashing feature, I disagree. It says it's like the clashing feature is similar to Double Dash. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I get the idea, you know, 2 people in 1 vehicle, but clashing I think is much more unique. As much as I love Double Dash. This is the first Crash game to have elements named after Wumpa fruit, but not include them as a collectible directly. Yeah, I find that kind of funny, like, you know, they have the coins instead of the actual fruit, and obviously they have, like, the drinks that give you the ×2 bonus for when you collect the coins. And obviously they're also kind of like the red herring for, like, oh man, you see this at every sort of, you know, where all the gems are located, so it must be, you know, somebody likes Wumpa Whip, or Wumpa Whip. That said, I mean, it would be funny just in hindsight if, like, instead of coins that you give the drones, Von Clutch's workers, you just give them, like, Wumpa fruit. I mean, it would help that poor guy that was, you know, so hungry and he just wanted some mac and cheese, but I just imagine the rage and frustration from those guys.
Feel that like a banana.
There are a lot of references to The Simpsons Hit and Run, which is another game developed by Radical Entertainment. People walking around the park may say, "Hey, have you played Hit and Run? Man, that was a great game." I've never heard that though. Also, Pasadena Opossum says the line, "Man, this video game sucks," if she loses a race, which is also said by Homer Simpson and Hit and Run. Yeah, I guess they really enjoyed that game, which makes sense. A lot of people enjoyed Hit and Run. Simpsons Hit and Run. Mega Crash outfit is based on Evil Crash from Twinsanity. I think everybody kind of, you know, figured. There were originally supposed to be more than 8 playable characters. Yeah, see, they say that, but they don't actually give any indication on who else was playable. So that's definitely one I take with a grain of salt. Because, I mean, yeah, it's a very blatant statement. I'm sure at some point they were going to have more tracks and more characters that make it into the final game. That's just any game ever, you know. You always want to aim upwards, and, you know, no game, I don't think, is ever able to achieve everything it absolutely wants, because you're always needing, for a game to succeed, you're always going to want to try and aim higher than what's actually possible. So I'm sure there were characters that were canned, but there's no references to them, I believe. And if there is, man oh man, I'd love to hear it. I'm not even joking. I want to know who else would have been in this game. You guys have heard me rant about that a few times during these videos. Please let me know. A few more racing and free roam levels were going to be added, but then got canceled. Yeah, same as the last one. There are a handful of Star Trek references in the game, such as Neil's quote, Warp Factor 10. I actually don't know what that means. I'm not a Star Trek fan. And the Star Crash outfit that resembles the Star Trek uniform. Yeah, 100%. It doesn't mention it, but even like the guy that sells you it is clearly a reference to Scotty, you know, the guy who does the teleporting and the ship maintenance, I believe, and like sends people into hyperdrive or warp drive, I believe. Something along those lines. Like I said, I'm not a big fan, but the idea is, yeah, I mean, it was clearly Star Trek reference. You know, the guy even says, "Oh, beam me up, me." You know, that's kind of the quote. "Beam me up, Scotty." Let's see. In the cutscene where Willy Wumpa Cheeks confesses his crime of stealing the power gems from the park and Von Clutch's Black Heart power gem, he says, "And I would have succeeded too if it weren't for you meddling bandicoots," which is a reference to "And I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you meddling kids," which is a famous line heard in the famous Hanna-Barbera and Warner Bros. Animation cartoon Scooby-Doo. Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of pop culture references in this game. So, I mean, that's not surprising. Like I said, the Star Trek, the Scooby-Doo, Simpsons Hit and Run. You know, there's a few of... Jeez, now I can't think of any of the other ones off the top of my head, but you get the idea. I also wish, you know, Willy Wumpa Cheeks would have freaking just explained why he did it. We never actually hear why. I mean, maybe you could say, like, well, maybe he didn't pay his workers good, which is probably the case, but we never really hear that for sure. And you don't hear the drones complaining until after the gem was stolen, where they say Von Clutch stopped paying them. With the exception of Willy, all characters who debuted in this game wouldn't appear again until Crash Team Racing Nitro Fuel. Yeah, that was kind of the only game that these guys are ever gonna like come back, and unfortunately, which the sports announcers, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, unless if it was a game that required announcers again. You know, Chicken Stew, I mean, it's pretty cool they came back. as individual characters as well. And Pasadena and Von Clutch, I mean, they were kind of made to be racing game characters. It's just like the nitro fuel and the nitrous oxide. I mean, it's kind of like, what are you going to do with them otherwise? This is also the first Crash Bandicoot game on the PlayStation Portable. Yeah, I believe it. And here's the last bit. Some of the game's music pieces are based on classical compositions and popular songs. The music when racing in Tiki Turbo during a normal mode is based on He's a Pirate from Pirates of the Caribbean film series. The music when racing in Once Upon a Tire during the 6th to 8th place is based on Carnival of the Animals by Camille Saint-Saëns or Sons. I can't even pronounce that. The music when racing in Evilocity during 3rd to 5th place is a spooky rendition of Night on Bald Mountain. What? Night on Bald Mountain. The music when racing in the La Car Pits is based on The Rite of Spring by Igor Stravinsky. Good lord, that took me 20 minutes too long to pronounce that correctly. Poor guy, I just butchered the heck out of his name. And it was pretty simple, like I knew what I was trying to say, I just couldn't say it. The music when racing in Tire and Ice is based on some Russian folk songs such as Kalinka when in normal mode, and Type A from Tetris when final lap at 1st or 2nd place. Additionally, when normal mode, Hungarian Dance No. 5 by Johannes Brahms and Trepak by the famous ballet The Nutcracker are also included. And finally, the music when at the end of the Grand Prix is a cappella version of Pomp and Circumstance Marches by Edward Elgar. And I think he's specifically talking about the multiplayer Grand Prix. And I know exactly what they're talking about. Same song the Macho Man had. But that's going to be pretty much it for this video and this series of games, folks. But before I head out, I would like to remind folks who have been following this series and this series only, all my future playthroughs are going to be on my secondary channel, Bean O Max, which will be linked in the description below. So if you want to see any more playthroughs or any of my other playthroughs I've already done, check that out. I play through Monday through Friday. But that's going to be all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed, like and subscribe. But above all else, please remember to have a nice day.